Hello, citizens of Chuncheon. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I stand here today to restore the human rights of the people and to defend liberal democracy. Today, I would like to address two issues: the illegal use of electromagnetic brain hacking and weapons, and concerns about election fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, are you familiar with the story of Noah's Ark in the Bible? Noah warned the people of the coming great flood, but they mocked and ignored him. As a result, they were all swept away and disappeared from this earth. With a similarly urgent and heavy heart, I ask you to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. Otherwise, you may face serious consequences. First, I will speak about the issue of brain hacking, mind control, and electromagnetic weapon related harm. Many people around us are suffering from those harm. Are you aware of this? These are victims around the world. These are victims around the world protesting against the use of such illegal electromagnetic weapons. And these are the photos of victims, including myself, participating in such protests. There are online communities of victims. One group has 3,960 members and another has 648 members. I am also a member of one of these communities. There are many more similar groups across the world. People are protesting against the use of illegal electromagnetic weapons. As one of the victims, I'm here to inform you and appeal for the protection of human rights and free will. For your reference, I am currently working in the engine and machinery business planning department at HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, and my major was mechanical engineering. I mention this to emphasize the objectivity of what I am saying. Have you ever heard of MK Ultra project? It was a secret program conducted by the CIA in the early Cold War period involving mind control experiments. It began in 1953 and was halted after 1973. Many experiments were conducted without the consent of the subject, causing irreversible physical and psychological harm. In 1975, the U.S. Congress officially exposed the existence of MK Ultra, and in 1995, then President Bill Clinton issued a formal apology to human rights violations associated with the program. What we must pay attention to here is that these were secret experiments conducted without the consent of the subject. Such technology have continued to develop and have been carried forward as core technology related to psychological manipulation and behavior control. As one of those victims, I would like to explain the technology of electromagnetic brain hacking and weapons that I am experiencing and that others could potentially face. To begin with, I will explain the type of brain hacking and mind control technologies. First, memories stored in the brain can be read, deleted, or altered. Second, brain activity can be analyzed in real time to interpret unspoken thoughts, images, and intentions. Third, human emotion, judgment, decision, and action can be guided or manipulated technologically. Fourth, external devices are able to send direct stimulation to the brain, including perception such as images or sounds. Now, I will introduce one of the most advanced technologies related to this. This involves introducing nanoparticles into body, allowing them to travel to the brain, enabling wireless neural stimulation and a brain-to-computer interface. Nanoparticles ingested orally pass through the intestinal wall and enter the bloodstream and travel to the brain, where they act as nano antennas that receive signals for wireless charging and stimulation via external electromagnetic field. They can also be injected directly into the bloodstream without oral intake. However, there are currently no clear regulation to control this, and very few people are aware of this. If such substances were introduced into food in company cafeteria, many people could become victims. If targeted at a specific individual, that person could become a victim. Now, I will also address electromagnetic weapons. These were reportedly used in what became known as the Havana Syndrome, first reported in 2016 by U.S. diplomats and intelligence personnel stationed in Havana, Cuba. The symptoms included sudden headaches, diseases, loss of balance and ear pressure, abnormal sound, nausea, cognitive impairment, and concussion-like effects occurring without visible external injury. The U.S. government has confirmed similar effects through experiments, and such attacks are capable of penetrating walls. Furthermore, there are numerous patents related to brain connectivity through satellite and remote wireless network (BCI). Why do such patents exist? They were developed for use. For example, a Korean patent KR 20170903738 in 2017 described a mind control system for human interfaces using satellite and wireless network. It involves inserting or attaching nano electronic chips to the human body and using aware brain waves map and genetic data to remotely monitor and control neural cells and genes. One U.S. patent, US 60119918 in 2000, described a communication system using brainwave analysis. Sensor attached to or implanted in the head can measure brain activity in real time, enabling brain-to-brain or brain-to-computer communication through thought alone. In China, a fully implantable wireless BCI developed by NeuroGest has reportedly succeeded in clinical trials and even undergone space validation. It enables remote communication, converting thought into speech or text, and allow control of devices such as computers. The technology I have described are officially disclosed. In reality, the technology being developed covertly may be far more advanced and sophisticated. To help you understanding, I will briefly share my personal experiences which involve brain hacking, mind control, electromagnetic torture, and stalking. First, attacks use microwave and acoustic weapons. In 2018, I was dispatched by my company to Shanghai, China for 6 months. However, after experiencing severe electromagnetic torture, I was forced to return after only 3.5 months. I changed hotel twice to avoid this, but the perpetrators followed me and continued the attacks. Even after returning in 2018, I have continued to experience similar electromagnetic attack from a person, So Yeon-sub, living upstairs, who retired from Hyundai Heavy Industries. Second, surveillance of thoughts and memories. Since returning from Shanghai in 2018, I have been monitored and controlled and experimented on by my colleagues, including members of my team at work. There have been frequent incidents of hacking on my computer. On one occasion, my computer moved on its own in front of me. When I shouted internally, "Who is doing this?" Some on my team raised his hand and as if mocking me. When I got up to go to the restroom and passed by others, they seemed to know my physical condition and intention. They approached me along the way, speaking to me, or even make threatening remarks. At times, they referred to things I saw in the past or even memories from my dreams. During brain hacking, there are a kind of brain resonance or synchronization which causes headaches, fatigue, and drowsiness. Third is hacking of the visual information. Things I am looking at alone are discussed in real time over the phone by others or colleagues, later refer to things I previously saw privately. Fourth is manipulation of thought. During these incidents, headaches are induced and I become mentally clouded, making it difficult to speak clearly. At times, when I look at signs or written text as if they contain answer to what I'm currently thinking. There are also instances where responses relating to another person's interest was spoken internally. Fifth is the direct control of behavior. My action was controlled in such a way that turned the steering wheel and ended up bursting a tire on the roadside curb. At night, while lying down stretching my arm after expressing anger toward the perpetrator, my own hand will suddenly control the strike my hand like this. During exercise, I also suddenly lost strength in my leg joint, causing me to fall and sprain my ankle multiple times, leading to long-term suffering. 6. Hallucinations, including visual, auditory, and olfactory. While lying in the bed with my eyes closed, I have experienced vivid visual images resembling a computer monitor. I have also experienced voices referring to specific work-related matter. 7 is prolonged torture involving involuntary physical reaction. I have heard many accounts from male victims who have suffered similar this kind of abuse. And I have also heard in person several times that female victims are subjected to electromagnetic sexual torture. 8 is hacking of computer and mobile phones. Since my assignment to China in 2018, my personal and company computer have repeatedly been hacked. I have reported these incidents more than 100 times to the Internal Security Department and call center, but no effective action has been taken. Even when I explain these issues to others, they often deny knowledge or avoid giving clear answers. My phone has also been hacked since 2018. Alarm activating on their own or offering without any action. I have performed factory reset multiple times and even purchased new phone without installing any apps. Yet the same issues continue. 9. I have been followed by stalkers on daily basis. They follow me to sauna, campus, and even while driving, appearing whenever I go and behaving in ways that make me deeply uncomfortable. There have also been repeated intrusion into my car, causing damages or tampering with belongings, as well as intrusion into my apartment. Despite reporting these incidents to the police multiple times, no effective protection has been provided. At times like this, I feel that I am living without the protection of the law. Those who direct and carry out these actions do not regard the victims as human beings. People like me are referred to internationally as TIs, targeted individuals. Since 2018, I have submitted numerous complaints and petitions to various institutions in Korea, including petition system, the National Human Rights Commission, the prosecution, the Ministry of Justice, the police. However, there has been no meaningful progress or formal inquiry. One reason is that there are no relevant laws in Korea addressing these issues. In the United States, in 2001, Congressman Dennis Kucinich proposed the Space Preservation Act to prohibit such technologies. In Russia, federal law number 103-FZ enacted on July 26, 2001 prohibit the use of weapons that have psychological or physical impact, including electromagnetic waves, infrared radiation, sound, and infrasound. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is not far when brain signals could be synchronized and information from our five senses and memories could be extracted through Wi-Fi or personal devices. Look at me. I stand here as the evidence. I swear with everything I have that what I have experienced is not false, but true. I am a Christian who believes in God. Yet, these perpetrators, these forces of evil, seek to take away the most precious gift given by God, free will. They attempt to control it as they please, essentially trying to place themselves in the position of God. Will you simply stand by and watch until everyone becomes a slave? There is no time. We must bring this issue into public discussion and create law to stop it. If you think someone else will take care of this, then no one will. You must recognize this problem and take action. That is where the solution begins. Now, I will move on to the next topic, election fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, are you aware of that? The election fraud has become a global issue. Beyond Korea, countries where election-related controversies have been reported or widely debated include the United States, Venezuela, Russia, Belarus, Congo, the Dominican Republic, and Myanmar. One organization often mentioned in connection with election system is the Association of World Election Body, AUM, headquartered in Incheon, Korea. Election systems applied by this organization have been implicated in fraud-related controversies. U.S. President Donald Trump has also repeatedly stated in interviews that there was election fraud in the 2020 U.S. presidential election and that as a result, President Joe Biden was elected. Do you know that election fraud and communist revolution share some similarities? Communist revolutions often begin with groups who felt marginalized and viewing the existing political and social system as unjust. They justify violence and dismantle existing structure in the name of a new order. Similarly, election fraud undermined democratic system and laws. Allowing specific groups to take control of the executive and legislative branches and even the judiciary, regardless of the true will of the people. When all the branches of government are controlled, the result is dictatorship. Those who pursue such revolution may justify their actions with ideas for the nation and the people. However, history shows that absolute power without checks and balances lead to corruption, concentrating wealth and benefits among a small ruling class. Since 2020, I have felt deep frustration watching the National Assembly and media remain unresponsive despite the desperate effort of citizens raising concerns about election fraud. Former President Yoon Suk-yeol also cited election fraud allegation as one of the major reasons during declaration of martial law. However, despite such serious claims, there was no investigation and the situation ended with his impeachment alone. During last year's June 3rd presidential election, same-day voting results reportedly showed candidate Kim Moon-soo leading with 53% over candidate Lee Jae-myung 38%. However, the exit poll result later showed a reversal with Lee Jae-myung at 52%, Kim Moon-soo at 41%, raising question due to the significant discrepancy. Exit poll conducted by the National Election Commission surveyed people immediately after they vote on election day. It has been said that these results match the those of three major broadcasting networks. How can such result be possible? It is also said that there is a little difference in age distribution between early voters and those who voted on election day. However, in early voting, candidate Lee Jae-myung reportedly received 63%, while candidate Kim Moon-soo received 26%, a gap of 37%. Does that make sense? As a result, the final outcome was 49% to 41%, and candidate Lee Jae-myung was elected president. My concern about election fraud began to emerge significantly in 2020. After watching the April 15, 2020 general election vote counting broadcast, I began to have doubts. From the next day, numerous YouTube broadcasts presenting evidence of election fraud flooded out, and I could not contain my anger. The early voting result in Seoul, Gyeonggi, and Incheon showed an exactly same ratio and 64 to 36 between the two major parties, which may found difficult to understand. In addition, numerous pieces of evidence emerged: fake ballots, manipulated ballot sorting machines, damaged seals, stacks of crisp ballots that have never been folded, and 144-year-old ghost voters born in 1876, and 40 voters older than the oldest person recorded in the Guinness World Record. There was an overwhelming amount of evidence, too much even to list. These were extremely clear indications of election fraud that even elementary school children could understand. Those adults who claim they cannot understand such evidence are, in many cases, either knowingly ignoring it for their own benefit or deceiving themselves. By the way, I would like to ask these people one thing. If the person you want gets elected, does it not matter even if there is election fraud? Based on the content of the film that day by Lee Myeongdong and John Han-gil, I will further explain the extent of election manipulation. In the 2020 21st National Assembly election, 40 continuously seats were shifted from the People Power Party to the Democratic Party through election fraud. As a result, what I should have been 123 seats for the People Democratic Party and 124 for the People Power Party was altered to 161 seats for the Democratic Party and 84 for the People Power Party. In the 2024 22nd National Assembly election, 42 seats were transferred from People Power Party to the Democratic Party. As a result, what should have been 109 seats for the Democratic Party and 142 for the People Power Party was altered to 161 and 90 respectively. Originally, the People Power Party had won by 33 seats, but due to election fraud, the Democratic Party ended up winning by 71 seats. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason politics has become so dysfunctional is that president and lawmakers are no longer being elected by the true will of the people. As a result, politicians no longer fear the voices of the people, but instead become concerned only with those who control election fraud. Many people are continuously protesting in the street and calling for the eradication of election fraud. Really simply ignore it because it does not affect you today. I myself participated in the protest when hundreds of thousands of people filled the place like Gangwon, yet the media never properly reported on them. What is the difference between the former President John Doo-han's of just seizure of power through the military coup of December 12th, 1979, and the seizure of the power through election fraud? If you search online, you will find a vast amount of information regarding these concerns. Please look into it yourself. You may come to your own conclusions. Ladies and gentlemen, should we not thoroughly investigate election fraud, correct what is wrong, and reveal the election management system entirely? The methods to prevent election fraud are actually simple. First, instead of using printed official stamps, allow voters to use their own personal seals. Second, conduct manual vote counting as done in Taiwan. Additionally, all early voting storage boxes should be monitored with CCTV and streamed live online. And ballot boxes themselves should also be monitored and broadcast live. And all recordings should be stored and made publicly available. This would eliminate doubt. However, the election authorities and the National Assembly have not accepted even minimum proposal such as changing to personal seals. Furthermore, oversight of election management bodies must be strengthened. Many advanced countries have independent auditing institutions for election agents, but Korea does not. Only partially checked by the National Assembly, making structurally unusual. There is effectively no external way to verify wrongdoing. In addition, since 2015, the head of the election commission has consistently been a representative or someone serving currently in that role. Due to these structural issues, many complaints and lawsuits related to election fraud have been blocked. As a result, presidents and members of National Assembly and other elected officials are being chosen not by your votes, but by groups engaged in election fraud. This is something that should never exist, yet it is our reality. Let me summarize the two issues I have raised. If we remain silent, we risk losing not only our voting rights through election manipulation, but also our free will through brain control technology, ultimately becoming slaves. In my view, within 5 years, it could become technically possible to control entire population through such means. A terrifying reality is approaching. If issues such as brain hacking, mind control, electromagnetic harm, and stalking are clearly related, similar to regulation like Russia and controlled a level comparable to firearm, we can protect our free will. And if fair reactions are secured, all political problem can be resolved. We can safeguard liberal democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, please take an interest in these issues. Ask AI and search online. Reflect deeply. Let me give you an analogy. There was a large lake. A nearby chemical plant would normally treat its water waste before releasing it into the lake through a pipe nearby. Near that outlet lived a cow. At some point, toxic waste began flowing through the pipe. The cow became poisoned. Its body deformed, and it swam into the lake trying to warn others. But the other fish laughed at it and ignored it, thinking it had nothing to do with them. In desperation, the cow went to the center of the lake to warn the larger fish, but they too dismissed it and disappeared into deeper water. What do you think? What do you think happened to that lake in the end? Most of fish became deformed, suffered, or died. Ladies and gentlemen, we must protect the most precious gift given to us by God, our free will. We must also protect the liberal democracy that our ancestors built with their blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Change begins with the courage to say that something is wrong when it is wrong. Just as water from a small spring become a stream gather into a river, and river from the ocean. When your awareness and determination to solve these problems come together, we can form a great force for change. Let us join hands and move forward together. Together, we can do it. Thank you for listening.